hundreds of officers in the Greater Toronto Area disciplined for serious misconduct in past 5 years. This just in from the Toronto Star. In the last 5 years, nearly 350 officers from police services in Greater Toronto Area, Toronto, Peel, York, Halton, and Durham, and the OPP have been disciplined for what their own services call serious misconduct, a Star investigation has found. Roughly 1 in 5 of those officers were disciplined because he or she had been found guilty of criminal offenses, including assaulting his or her spouse, drunk driving, possession of drugs, and even theft. And get this one, folks. One of these officers was even busted more than once for being drunk behind the wheel. So basically, if you have a criminal record, you won't get hired as a cop. But if you become a cop and then do criminal things, well, you can keep working. Some of you may recall our expose of Officer A. Josephs, also known as Officer Bubbles, a Toronto police officer who can be seen in my film Into the Fire, arresting a young lady for blowing bubbles. He subsequently went on to police just about every protest in Toronto since then, and believe it or not, he even launched a $1.2 million lawsuit against YouTube, in which 25 people were involved because of their videos and comments. However, his appearance in my film Into the Fire has forever solidified him to always be known now around Toronto as Officer Bubbles. But getting back to this article, we can see plenty of more examples, including blatant racism towards First Nations. But of course, the problem is not some kind of systemic racism, but the fact that the police hold a monopoly that we, as consumers of their quote-unquote services, are forced to pay for. And not surprisingly, when cops break the law, the police investigate themselves. And often enough, the presiding officers over a case involving a crooked cop will exonerate him because to punish him may undermine public trust in the police. The media is the conduit to the public and ensures that we hold accountable those who are found guilty of misconduct, wrote one presiding superintendent in the 2014 case of a Halton constable disciplined for playing hooky from work. It was the officer's 8th time being disciplined. Fortunately, in this case, there has been no media attention in this matter, and consequently, there have been very little damage done to the police service's reputation. The article is definitely worth giving a read, especially considering it came from the Toronto Red Star. But of course, being a part of the corporate state apparatus, they're not going to point us in the right direction. There's a subheading here that says a broken system, but it basically recommends giving chief and police prosecutors more power in order to get rid of the problem officers, of course. Obviously, guys, the real solution here is competition and voluntary exchange. If a policing organization holds a monopoly on property protection in the city of Toronto, and we as taxpayers are forced to pay for it, well then obviously it's going to be full of corrupt officers. Free market competition is a check and balance against corruption. That's why we see high levels of corruption in crony capitalist corporations. It's not the big and bad corporation per se, but the fact that they've eliminated their competition using government regulations. There's really nothing so special about law and order that it must be sanctioned only by the state. With the militarization of our police and their escalating violence and general misconduct, well, it should be clear that the state is not only incompetent in this field, it's pretty dangerous to give them absolute power in policing services. Now, no one is denying that governance in society is needed. No one here is saying that we don't need police officers. There is a free market for law and order, but like any market, it's absurd to give one organization monopoly status that consumers have to pay for and then assume that it's all going to work out in the end. The solution here is the same solution everywhere. We need to embrace voluntary association. It's the difference between rape and lovemaking, between theft and exchange. It's the difference between consent and force. When consumers of police services can stop paying for bad service and the police organization faces losses and potential bankruptcy, and where competitors can freely enter the market, only then will we see accountability in police. And until then, giving the police more powers to investigate themselves is like pouring gasoline on the fire. To learn more about just how brutal the Toronto police officers can be, check out our film Into the Fire. It's available for free here on YouTube. And members of PFT can download this in high quality. And you can also get all the extra hours of special features when you purchase the DVD, which helps support our operation here at PFT. So thanks for watching, guys. Click the like button. Check the links in the description for the sources and all the links to where you can donate or purchase Into the Fire on DVD. And stay tuned, folks. We've got a lot more videos coming soon to pressfortruth.ca.